All stock prices you see on our program will be quoted in decimals. Eventually, all stocks on all U.S. exchanges will trade that way. The exchange kickoff begins August 28th, when 13 stocks listed on the New York and the American stock exchanges, as well as their associated options, change over from fractions. In late September, between 50 and 100 more NYSE and Amex stocks will make the move. March 12th, NASDAQ begins the transition. Approximately 10 to 15 of its stocks and options on those shares begin trading in decimals. By April 9th, all stocks and options traded on U.S. exchanges are expected to be priced in decimals by order of the SEC. Stocks will have a minimum price variation, or the smallest possible price movement, of a penny. For many investors, the move to decimal pricing is long overdue.
It's healthy for the market. It'll be easier to understand. It will provide market makers with the ability to compete at finer increments than they have been able to.
U.S. exchanges are the only major world markets to price stocks in fractions. Experts say quoting in smaller increments may improve market efficiency by narrowing spreads. Most academics who've studied the issue support the move to decimals, but not all are sure quoting in penny increments will ultimately benefit consumers.
Spreads will come down, but you can come down with just going to decimals in a 5-cent increment also. I think that there is a belief on the part of a number of people that if you go to a penny tick size, you're going to get a penny spread. And I don't believe that we will.
The phase-in schedule is designed to protect the public and to prevent major systems failures. Experts say the transition to decimals is as monumental as the Y2K changeover and should go as smoothly. Erica Miller, Nightly Business Report, New York.
As the nation's stock markets continue their volatility, it looks like some mutual fund investors are looking for shelter in bonds. The Investment Company Institute, which tracks the numbers, says for the first time in a year, bond funds had a positive net new cash flow in June. Almost $490 million flowed into bond funds. But that compares to and is swamped by more than $22 billion in new cash going into stock funds. And, Paul, most of that stock fund money went into growth and aggressive growth funds.
And I think they did a little buying on the NASDAQ today, but they weren't too aggressive as far as the blue chip Dow Industrial Average was concerned. We kind of limped in with about an 11-point gain, 17 to 12, advanced decline ratio, 85 new highs, 47 new lows for the year. General Electric topped the active list on 15.5 million shares, edging up a fraction. The company announced some fairly high-level management changes today, about 6 of them. Lucent Technologies down 1 3/8. Nokia up another 13/16 after gaining 2.5 Friday when the company announced it plans to buy back up to 36 million of its own shares. Nortel Networks up 1 7/8, a little technical snapback after dropping 6 1/8 Friday. On news, it'll be buying Altium Networks for stock. Compaq Computer down to 16th, 5th in volume. Then AT&T moved up 3/16. Texas Instruments up 1 11/16. Soundview Financial upgraded it from buy to strong buy. America Online edged up 11/16. Pfizer down 3/4. And then Citigroup, 10th in volume, was up 2 1/4. Ed Horowitz is going to leave the company's money-losing eCity Internet division. Derek Mahan will replace him. AMR up 1 11/16, and a strong airline group on that 75-cent per barrel drop in September oil in New York. Entergy down 3 3/16. FPL Group down 4 9/16. Not a very positive reaction to that $7 billion stock swap merger. Procter & Gamble down 2 5/16. A little nervousness ahead of earnings, which are due out tomorrow. Union Carbide edged up 5/8. Second quarter earnings 94 cents, including 14 cents in one-time gains. That's up from 46 cents last year. Revenues up 18%. And Walmart down 3 3/4, the biggest point loser in the Dow Industrial Average. Storage Technology, one of the best percentage gainers, rising 2 3/4. Better than expected second quarter earnings of 9 cents. That's way down from 27 last year, but the street was only expecting 5 cents. Seagate Technology up just over 6 points, positive reaction to a 14-point run-up, and Veritas, which is acquiring Seagate. And then Shaw Group up 5 1/8. Some analysts believe, including at Jefferies brokerage, that The FPL Entergy merger will be a plus for new business for Shaw Group, which is involved in piping systems and so forth, things like utilities need. Hollinger International up 1 5/8 on news that CanWest Global Communications is going to buy most of the publisher's assets. Alstom SA, French company, down 4 11/16. This firm says it's having more problems with its new heavy-duty gas turbine technology. And Jack in the Box down 3 1/8. Morgan Stanley downgraded it from strong buy to just outperform. NASDAQ trading, almost 104-point gain for the month of July. That index fell almost 200 points, or 5%, however. 15 stocks up for every, 22 stocks higher for every 17 lower. JDS Uniphase topped the active list up 1 7/8. Cisco gained 2 5/8. SDL, which is being acquired by JDS, up 26. Microsoft edged an 1/8 higher. Intel was up 2 3/16, 5th in volume. Sun Microsystems rising 2 5/8. Juniper Networks had a good day, up nearly 8. Oracle rose 2 13/16. PMC Sierra up 16 5/8. And completing this blizzard of plus signs, Broadcom up 11 3/16. WebEx, which went public Friday at 14 and shot up 19 points, giving back 12 3/16 on profit taking. Cephalon down 22 7/16 after the company said its narcolepsy drug is showing little effectiveness. And Anesta tumbled 10 9/16 because it's being acquired by Cephalon for stock. The American Exchange Index was up 3.64. It was down about 30 points for the month of July. Baycorp Holdings rose 2 points. The chief executive officer couldn't account for that strong rise, but noted the stock is very thinly traded, doesn't take much to move it. And Rate Exchange down 1 1/8, the biggest loser percentage-wise on the curve. But spokesman said restrictions preventing certain shareholders from selling stock have recently expired, so now they can sell it, and apparently they did a little of that today. And finally, the major index shares ended mixed, with the NASDAQ Qs doing well in reflection of the nice rally in that market. Since late May, major commodity prices have been consolidating their springtime gains and moving sideways. But one expert who believes a couple of commodities are ready to make a move to the upside is Bob Hafer, Managing Director of the Bridge Commodities Research Bureau. And welcome back, Bob.
Good evening, Paul.
I understand you believe cocoa is about to rally. Tell us what it's been doing and why you think it's headed higher.
Well, there's 3 reasons we're looking for the cocoa market to move higher. 1, the main harvest period in Ghana and the Ivory Coast is behind us. Number 2, we see consumption rising about 10% versus where it was a year ago.
And number 3, we're looking at the chart, of course, and that looks like a base consolidation, doesn't it?
There's no question. We've got a nice technical base built between 800 and 900, and if prices can clear 900, we'd expect a new trading range of somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200.
What is the second commodity you believe is about to move to the upside?
Well, we're watching coffee closely. The coffee market very often begins a strong up move with a frost in Brazil.
Oh, that's those spikes upward we see that on the chart here.
That's exactly right, and we had a frost in Brazil 2 weeks ago. The market has retraced all of the gains from that frost, but when a frost occurs, you damage the trees, you damage the plants, and it takes a year or 2 for them to recover. So at these low levels, somewhere around 85 cents or perhaps as low as 80, coffee presents a tremendous opportunity.
Well, I remember right off of the supermarket shelves, coffee was had quite a spike up in price not that long ago.
Those Brazilian frosts are almost always the case for rising coffee prices.
Well, Bob, is there a general trend in where I believe there are 17 commodity components in the CRB index? Is there a general trend higher?
6 of the markets have moved higher over the last year or so, Paul. The remainder have not yet moved, and the ones that haven't moved are really on the agricultural side. And most of the agricultural markets have been burdened with heavy supplies. Once we work through those supplies, we're expecting to see those markets start to move.
So we're going to see a new high in the CRB index?
Well, as you know, we've been targeting 240 on the CRB index for a long time, for a year or so. And we still expect the index to get there either late this year or early next year.
So, a rather bullish Bob Hafer.
I've been bullish on commodities for a year, and I remain so.
Okay. Thanks very much, Bob.
My pleasure, Paul.
My guest, Bob Hafer, Managing Director of the Bridge Commodities Research Bureau.
Tomorrow, it's becoming the stepchild of telecommunications, consumer long-distance service. Ford and Qualcomm are making a connection today. The companies are teaming up to equip new Ford cars and trucks with mobile communication centers, including phones, the internet, and navigation services. The Wingcast venture is expected to be in over 1 million new Fords by the end of 2002 and all Ford vehicles by 2004. Investors like the news. Ford rose 7/16 to 46 9/16, while Qualcomm gained 2.5 to 64 15/16.
DrCoop.com has one less suitor tonight. Millennium Health Communications has ended its merger talks with the troubled healthcare website. Shares of the company have lingered in the $1 to $2 range for several months, and the website has been seen as a prime takeover target. Dr. Coop's board is also considering an offer from undertherapy.com. Dr. Coop stock today fell 7/32, or almost 16%, to close at 1 5/32.